The situation in Yemen continues to get worse. Warring parties there are now preventing aid from entering parts of the country. That's according to human rights groups on the ground. People have fled the port city of Hodeidah after Saudi-led forces seized the city's airport from Houthi rebels. The move endangers millions of people in what's already one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. According to a new report from Amnesty International, the Houthis are using, quote, excessive and arbitrary bureaucratic procedures to restrict the movement of humanitarian workers. One of them is Johan Mooij. He's the Yemen country director for CARE, which is a nonprofit organization that works to end poverty and fight for social justice. He joins us now by Skype from Amman, Jordan, where he's been for the last week. Johan, big question to start, but it's the main important one. What's going on now in Yemen?
There is heavy fighting south of the city of Hodeidah. The government troops have been coming from the south along the coastal road and have taken the airport, which is about 10 kilometers south of the town. And now they're fighting at various districts on the south end.
We mentioned this trouble getting people goods, which is not a new problem, but it's perhaps a worsening problem. With what's in the country now, do we have a sense of how long folks can last on what's there?
Well, the UN has, of course, stocked up supplies for the last couple of months. I'm not sure exactly how much supplies, but about 80% of the supplies the country needs in terms of food and fuel comes in through the harbor of Hodeidah. If that would be closed, it is not yet, but it could very well be in the next couple of days. Then probably we'll have enough supplies for about 2-3 months.
Okay, so we're talking to you from Jordan. You were forced to leave. Why were you forced to leave, and how are humanitarian efforts moving forward with so many people outside of the country?
Yeah, I was not really forced to leave the country, but I'll be going to Aden in the southern part of Yemen. And to be able to travel to Aden, I need to leave the country and then go through Djibouti and go there and see what we can do from the southern part to kind of support IDPs coming out of the town of Hodeidah.
Many humanitarian workers, some journalists, including our own, have had a lot of trouble getting into Yemen. Describe the situation in terms of how hard it is for you to get in and out, how hard it is to do the work you need to do. In any conflict zone, it's obviously hard, but I wonder if it's especially difficult in this case or not.
Yeah, it's a very complicated situation where the country is really having two governments, one in the southern parts of Yemen and one in the northern parts. The airport of Sana'a in the north has been closed for the last 2 years, and the only planes coming in are either from the UN or from the Red Cross. They fly in 3 times a week with a small plane, and humanitarian workers, once they get approval from Saudi to fly into Yemen, they can move in. So for me, I've been able to move in and out quite freely, but there's only about 70 to 100 international workers who are able to move back and forth, and many others have been denied a visa, both in the south and in the north. So, and for Yemeni to be able to travel out of the country, our staff is quite difficult because for them, they have to get a visa in the neighboring countries, which is not easy. So for people to move out of Yemen is quite a challenge. In the southern parts, there's 1 or 2 airports that are open, and there are some commercial flights. But for most Yemeni, it's very difficult to get a passport and to get the right travel documents.
I remember doing an interview with a reporter in Syria in 2012 and asking what turned out to be a really dumb question, which was, can we see a light at the end of the tunnel? Do we think this might be ending soon? And she just kind of sighed at me. So at the risk of making that same mistake with a different country in a different year, is there a light at the end of the tunnel here, or is this a stalemate that drags on and on and on?
Well, I think as a humanitarian, I must have hope for a better time. And the Yemeni people have suffered for quite some time, and you would hope it would come to an end. But even the southern parts that have been so-called liberated are influenced by all kinds of conflicts. So you would say the other day the Saudis were mentioning that they were liberating Hodeidah, and of course the large parts see a lack of government justice, a lack of control. So I could be very pessimistic, but yet as a humanitarian, I need to be able to think of a better future. Before I worked in Yemen, I worked in northern Iraq, and I worked near Mosul, and we've seen a lot of destruction and sorrow and whatever in that country, and it did come to an end. So hopefully this will happen in Yemen as well.
A good thing to hope for. Johan Mooij, we wish you success and safety on your upcoming trip.
Thank you.